Так, все, можемо починати.
Okay, let's start. Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Travis Stoltner. I'm with the Faculty of International Business here at Heilbronn University of Applied Sciences in Heilbronn, Germany. Today, I'm going to generally give you some information about the university, our faculty in each of our study programs, as well as some information about how to apply and what the admission requirements would be and what student life is like here at our university. I'm joined today by two of my colleagues, Ms. Christina Shamkayev and Ms. Ksenia Funk. They are both study program coordinators for a couple of our bachelor's programs. My position here is as a study program coordinator as well. My main focus is on the master's programs. So we have 3 master's programs that I'll talk about a little bit later, as well as 2 of our bachelor's programs that are more focused on the tourism and hospitality industry. So I'm going to jump directly in. So you may not know where Heilbronn University is. We consider ourselves to be right in the center of Europe. So we're about 600 kilometers from Paris, 600 kilometers from Berlin, and 300 kilometers from Munich. So we're very close to the French border as well as the Swiss border in the southern state of Baden-Württemberg. And then here you can see on the map where we're located within Germany itself. You can see that we're in the southwest of the country, close to Stuttgart. Heilbronn is a medium-sized German city. We have about 130 residents living here in the city. We're surrounded by picturesque villages, spa towns, and rolling hills with vineyards. The area is very well known for red wine production. So all around the city, you see hills with vineyards growing up the side, and you can see some images here that show that. And we have a lot of cultural events and facilities for recreation, as well as some excellent restaurants. We have what they call the Neckarmeile, which is one of the largest or one of the longest gastronomic river walks in the south of Germany. Here you can see a few more pictures, one from above. This is showing basically the city center, as well as some of the surroundings. One interesting thing that we have here in the city is called Experimenta. This is a science museum, and they have some really interesting exhibits, both for children as well as for grown-ups, covering all types of topics concerning sustainability, for example. All kinds of interesting things for our students to enjoy. You might be interested to see some of the industries and companies that are based here in the region. One of the largest companies that's founded directly here in Heilbronn is Lidl in Kaufland. This may be a company that you've heard of before. Also in Stuttgart, we have Porsche and Mercedes-Benz, for example. In the direction of Heidelberg, just north of us, is the global headquarters for SAP. And then the auto industry has a lot of suppliers in the area, such as Bosch. So there's plenty of opportunities for you to get some exposure into the corporate culture here in Germany as well. So now talking specifically about the university, we are a University of Applied Sciences that was founded in 1961. We have about 7,500 students, and this makes us one of the largest universities in the state. We have 4 campuses, and you can see those here. We have 2 campuses that are directly located in Heilbronn. This is the Bildungscampus and the Tech Campus. And then within about 45 minutes of Heilbronn, you find 2 additional campuses, one in Künzelsau and one in Schwäbisch Hall. In total, we have 6 faculties offering 35 bachelor's programs and 26 master's programs. And all of our programs would belong to the focus areas of business, engineering, or informatics. So you may ask yourself, what is the difference between a university and a University of Applied Sciences? And there's a distinction between these two. In German, the first is an Universität. So for example, Tübingen or Heidelberg or universities, whereas Heilbronn and a lot of other universities in the country are a University of Applied Sciences, which is Hochschule in German. And what makes a University of Applied Sciences unique is that we have a focus on practice. So we do cover theory as well, but a big part of what students learn are like how to apply what they learn directly in the workplace. Additionally, all of our lecturers here are required to have quite a bit of work experience before they begin teaching. We have an application-oriented approach, and we have a lot of projects that are done in cooperation with local companies. So for example, we have a project tourism where you're actually working together with a tourism company on a real-world issue. So this gives you some exposure directly into the working world. Also with the University of Applied Sciences, generally your courses are going to be somewhat smaller, so you have a really good supervision ratio. And then obviously during your studies, you've learned a lot about real world practices. And so this sets you up really well for a career after your studies. Here you can see kind of a side-by-side, what's the difference between a university and a University of Applied Sciences, which more or less just covers exactly what I just mentioned. So I mentioned before, we have 3 subject fields here at the university. We have informatics, which would be like IT, software engineering, those types of programs. Then we have engineering. Some examples there would be mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, as well as business, which is what our faculty is covering here at the university. And now here you can see each of the campuses and which faculties are located at each campus. In our tech campus, we have our engineering faculty and informatics faculty. And then in Künzelsau and Schwäbisch Hall, we have a couple. In both of those locations, these faculties are covering kind of a mixture of engineering, IT, and business with more of a business focus. And then here at the Bildungscampus where we're located, so we have our faculty, which is international business, as well as the faculty of business. So I'm from the Faculty of International Business, so this is what I'll be presenting today. Here you have some images of where we're located. This is the Bildungscampus. It's a very new campus. It was opened in 2016, more or less completed in 2018, and they're continuing to add to it today. So there's still construction going on, but basically all of the facilities that we have for our university are complete and have been complete since 2018. Besides our university, we also share this campus with several other educational institutions. For example, the Technical University of Munich has a campus here. The Cooperative University for the state of Baden-Württemberg is located here as well. So it's not just our Heilbronn University students that are here. You're coming in contact with a very diverse range of students studying in a lot of different fields. So speaking specifically about our faculty, we have about 1,500 students in our bachelor's and master's programs. We offer 4 bachelor's programs and 3 master's programs. 3 of those are taught entirely in English. There's 1 bachelor's program that's entirely in English and 2 master's programs that are entirely in English. We have about 90 partner universities worldwide. So these are partners that these are universities where our students can travel to for a semester and study there, as well as we have students coming from those universities to study here in Heilbronn. That being said, we have a lot of international students that are studying here. Generally, we have more than 30 representatives of 30 different countries at any one time among our students. And then our professors and lecturers are also very international, with 10 or more being from outside of Germany. Students have the possibility of learning more than 6 languages here in our faculty and at the university. And you'll see a little bit about this a little bit later when I'm going through each of the study programs, what the different options are that are integrated into the curriculum. And since we have such a large international population, and this is our focus, the vast majority of our courses are offered in English as well. So some key benefits of studying here. As I mentioned before, we're a very international community. So you definitely will get an opportunity to learn about other cultures and what it's like to work with students from a diverse background. We have a program, our EBIS program, that is internationally accredited, which demonstrates the quality of the education that our students receive here. We have professors and staff with a very broad range of backgrounds, and they're bringing what they've learned in their professional careers into the classroom. So this is giving you a really good chance to extend your networking possibilities, because your professors and staff are very well networked as well, so you can borrow from their networks. We also have very close relationships with international companies here in the area. As I mentioned before, we're very practice focused, and we have a lot of different projects with different companies here in the region as well as internationally. Our students have an opportunity to improve their written and spoken English skills, as well as learn other languages from level A1 to C1, so from elementary knowledge all the way to fluency. And we also have various student clubs that students can take part in. As I mentioned before, we have a broad network of partner universities. You can see here on the map where most of those countries are located, but we have on most continents a partnership where our students can travel and study for a semester. There's also possibilities for double degrees with specific partners that we have. For example, in Spain, we have some double degree programs, as well as in South America. So here you can see the programs that we offer. Our faculty is focused on international business as well as tourism and hospitality. Within international business, we offer a bachelor's in international business, which is completely taught in English, as well as our international business intercultural studies program, which is taught in a mixture of English and German. And then at the master's level, we have our international business and intercultural management Master of Science degree, and this is taught completely in English. As far as our tourism programs, at the bachelor's level, we offer tourism management and hotel and restaurant management, which are both taught mainly in German, but also integrate some English lectures. And then at the master's level, we have our tourism future studies program, which is completely taught in English, and our sustainable tourism development program, which is taught in a mixture of German and English. So now I'm going to talk a little more specifically about our bachelor's programs. So all of our bachelor's programs are 7-semester programs, ending with a thesis. This means 3.5 years of study, in the end earning 210 ECTS credits. Our courses we have a broad range of courses that include the core business functions, as well as courses for languages and culture, and emerging topics. All of our programs have a foreign language component that's integrated into their studies. So alongside studying international business, for example, or tourism, you would also be learning a foreign language. There's 1 semester in the program that's dedicated to an internship. Also, we encourage all of our students to spend a semester abroad at one of our partner universities. And as I mentioned before, the vast majority of our courses are offered in English. Here you can see a graphical representation of the course of studies. So students complete basic studies in the first and second semester. And then in the third and fourth semester, you're advancing into more in-depth study, including the selection of a major or a minor. In the fifth semester, you have your internship. And then in the sixth and seventh semester, you're doing the most advanced courses, as well as writing a bachelor's thesis. So in the end, you've earned a bachelor's degree, which qualifies you to study a master's or to start your career if that's what you choose to do. So the first of our bachelor's programs that I'll talk about is our International Business Bachelor of Arts degree. This is taught completely in English, so there's no German language skills that are required for this program. And the purpose of this program is to educate our students with intercultural management skills and to gain an understanding of globalization's effect on business and economics. For our international students, this means comprehensively learning the German language, as well as learning intercultural skills that are applicable to working in Germany following your studies. If you already speak German or you're a German student, then you would choose a different cultural area and a different language. You can see here what the options are. So probably in most of your cases, if you're interested in studying a bachelor's, this would mean studying the German language and the German culture. But if you already know German or the German culture, then you have the option of choosing one of the other cultural areas, which would be Arabic in the Orient, French in the Francophone world, Russian in Eastern Europe, or Spanish in Hispanic countries. Within this program, you also will choose a major, and the options that are available within this degree are finance, HR management, marketing, or international management. Our next program is International Business Intercultural Studies. We call this EBIS most of the time. Again, this is the program that is internationally accredited. We earned this several years ago, so this is a quality seal for our program. And this program is very similar to our international business program that's taught in English, but this program is taught in a mixture of English and German. So you'll be learning practical business management skills, some intercultural competencies. You'll choose a specialization. And in this program, you're going to master your English language skills, as well as learn an additional foreign language. So in this program, you can study the areas of Arabic in the Orient, French in the Francophone world, Russian in Eastern Europe, or Spanish in Hispanic countries. And then your options for your major field of study, you have the option of choosing financial management and accounting, finance, HR management, marketing, or international management. In addition to your major, you would also select a minor, which would be also from among these options, with the addition of logistics management as the possibility for a minor. Our next bachelor's program is tourism management. And this program is designed to prepare students for a career in a tourism-focused area. There's a really strong emphasis on sustainable tourism as part of our program. Within our tourism program, there's lots of excursions and industry events that students take part in. Like our other bachelor's programs, you also are required to complete some foreign language classes, and you have a wide range of specializations in different tourism topics. So the language possibilities here are basically the same as they were for the previous two bachelor's programs. You can learn Arabic, French, Russian, Spanish, or advance your English skills. And then the different specializations that you can choose would be destination management, business travel, health tourism, aviation management, tour operator and travel agency management, tourism marketing, tourism regional and local development, and specific aspects of tourism. And then finally, the last program that we offer here is in hotel and restaurant management. It's very similar to our tourism management program, but some of the tourism focused classes are replaced by classes that are specific to the hotel and restaurant industry. You can see here, there's specializations that are applicable really only for this program. So for example, hospitality development and investment, contemporary food and beverage development. So you can see from those examples, the programs that we offer are pretty diverse, and you have the option of choosing something that's really relevant to what it is that you're interested in. As far as admission requirements, here's a summary. So for any of our programs, you would need to have a entry level or entry qualification that qualifies you to study in a bachelor's program. So in most cases, this means like a high school diploma or whatever your secondary education certificate or whatever your secondary education is. Additionally, for our EBIS, TM, and HM programs, there's a requirement that you prove German language proficiency. And then for all of our programs, we recommend or require proficiency in English. For IBE, it's completely taught in English, so you're required to prove English at a B2 level. For EBIS, this is a bit lower at B1, and then for TM and HM, it's a bit lower at A2. So you can find specific information about language requirements on the website, and you can find that link here. As far as how we select our students, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but the main criteria that we look at is the overall grade from your high school, for example, or whatever your entrance qualification is. We also look at grades in specific areas for some of our programs. For our international business programs, we look at applicants' affinity to one of the cultural areas that we offer. And then we also look at proficiency in English or your grade in English, as well as international experience that's related to the program. So now moving on to our master's programs. So all of our master's programs are designed to be completed in 3 or 4 semesters, ending with a thesis. 2 of our programs, as I mentioned before, are completely taught in English. We have 1 program that's a mixture of English and German. All of our master's programs are small groups, so that our intakes at the master's level are generally between 15 and 25 students. Like our bachelor's, we also offer practice-focused excursions and projects in hand-in-hand with our industry partners. All of our programs have an emphasis on sustainability and intercultural management. We highly encourage our students to study abroad. It's not required, but it's highly encouraged. And internships are also possible in our programs. Students can choose either to integrate this into their master's studies or do this on a voluntary basis in the 3rd semester. You can see here the graphical representation of the progression a student would take through our programs. So basically all of the courses all of our in-person courses are taking place in the 1st and 2nd semester. The 3rd semester is an optional semester where you can do a study abroad experience or an internship. And then you have a full 6 months to write your thesis. So this is either done in the 3rd semester or in the 4th semester. And in the end, you graduate with a total of 300 credits or 330. And this is basically including the 210 required for the bachelor's, as well as for the 90 or 120 that you earn during your master's studies. So the first program that I'll talk about is our International Business and Intercultural Management program. We shorten this to MIBEM in most cases. It's just a lot less to say. So this is our more international business focus. So in this program, you're learning, traditional business disciplines like marketing, HR, and finance. And then on top of that, a large portion of the studies is devoted to intercultural communication and management. So in these courses, you're studying at the global level, and then in the second semester, you're drilling down into individual regions of the world. So it really gives you a chance to focus in on an area of the world that you're interested in, and really learn how to negotiate those cultures in the business context. Additionally, all of our classes have a strong focus on sustainable management and being socially responsible. In this program, we have an intake of usually 20. Sometimes it's a bit more, sometimes it's a bit less. But generally, around 50% of our students in this program are coming from outside of Germany. Our next program is Tourism Future Studies. This is a new program that just started for the first time this year. And so it's a very fresh take on what the future of tourism might look like. So when we say tourism futures, we're looking at all the different possibilities that the future of tourism may become, not in the short term, but looking maybe 10 to 20 years down the road. So what this program is teaching is kind of the theory behind tourism. So we're looking in the past to see how things have developed, and then using that knowledge to figure out what challenges may be coming and what kind of approaches can be taken to meet those challenges way into the future. This program tends to be even more international than our other programs. This year, for example, I think we have only 1 or 2 students that are from Germany, and the rest are from outside of Germany. So if you're looking for a truly international experience, this is probably the one that's going to be studying the most with international students. And then our final master's program is Sustainable Tourism Development, which is abbreviated NTE based on its German name. As I mentioned before, this program is taught in a combination of English and German. So generally in this program, you're studying mostly with German students. However, some of the courses are shared between our other master's programs in this program. So you'll definitely have some exposure to international students as well. And this program is looking at tourism with a specific focus on sustainable development. So in this case, you're looking at tourism geography, planning. So a lot of the graduates of this program are working within destination management organizations and trying to help these organizations develop in a more sustainable or environmentally friendly way. As far as the requirements, basically for our 2 English-speaking programs, MIBEM and TFS, a degree and a bachelor's degree in a business-related discipline is required. We also require proof of English proficiency, so we will accept IELTS, TOEFL, Cambridge, or Oxford tests. In addition, if a student has completed their bachelor's entirely in English, this can also be accepted as proof. Or if the secondary education was completely in English, this can also be accepted. And then as far as proficiency in German, there's no requirement here. Because everything is in English, we don't require any proficiency in German. A little bit different for NTE. Your degree here would need to be in business studies, social sciences, or environment studies. And there's also a requirement to prove your English, basically the same list as for our MIBEM and TFS programs, but there are additional options for proving English for this program. But importantly here, students are required to have a C1 proficiency in German. As far as how we select our students for these programs, for all three of the programs, the grade of the first degree is the main factor. But we also look at work experience or international experience. So there's a possibility to get bonus points in our selection process if you have if you meet certain criteria. So maybe you're asking how you can apply. So specifically for students coming from Ukraine, if you're interested in joining a bachelor's program, for example, there's several steps that you have to follow. Basically, the first step that you need to do is have your degree or have your education verified as equivalent to the German entry qualification. In most cases, this means your high school diploma. And because the length of the education in Ukraine isn't the same as it is here in Germany, there is a requirement that you prove an additional year of education. In most cases, this would be either completing 1 year of university in Ukraine in a subject-related area, or alternatively, you can come to Germany and do 1 year at a Studienkolleg and take a placement test at the end, and this would qualify you. It would build enough education for you that it would be equivalent to a German Abitur or entrance qualification. So this needs to be done either by, so this recognition has to be done either by Studienkolleg Constant or UniAssist. This is a process where you upload several documents and then wait for them to examine it, and then you'll receive a certificate that either says that you do qualify or you don't. And if you do, then you would need to submit this document with your application when you apply to Heilbronn University. So that's one of the important pieces. And the other important piece is taking an English language test or proving your English in accordance with the degree program's requirements. So as far as the application, we have 2 intakes per year. So we have a winter semester intake and a summer semester intake. All of our programs have an intake in the winter semester. And then our tourism management and our international business intercultural studies program also has an intake for the summer semester. The deadline for the winter semester intake is the 15th of July, and the deadline for the summer semester intake is the 15th of January. So this is, again, once you have met all of the education requirements, you've applied to Studienkolleg Constant, you would need to then register on hochschulstart.de. And then this information feeds over to Heilbronn University, and then you can apply directly for the programs that you're interested in applying to. So to apply, the application window is only certain times of year. For example, for the winter intake, the application period generally opens in early May and ends on July 15th. And for the summer semester, the application portal, I believe, opens in December sometime with the deadline of the 15th of January. Or actually, I think it opens already in November. So if you're interested in applying for EBIS or TM, you can do that also for the summer semester, and that application period starts sometime at the end of November, I believe. This probably doesn't apply to most of you unless you, for example, completed your secondary education at a German school. In this case, you don't need to do the recognition process with Studienkolleg Constant. This also applies, I believe, if you have if you have an international baccalaureate, I believe there's also special conditions for you. So if you have any questions about the application period, I would encourage you to get in touch with our Central Student Advisory Service. and they should be able to answer any questions regarding your entrance qualifications or to give you some guidance on the application process. So if you are interested in applying for a master's program, here you need to apply for recognition to Studienkolleg Constant or UniAssist for the recognition of your certificates. This would include submitting information about your bachelor's degree, as well as your secondary education, as well as uploading some additional documents. All of our master's programs only have one intake per year, being in the winter semester. So what we do recommend that you apply for recognition no later than the 1st of June. This usually is enough time for them to complete their recognition process, but it's not guaranteed. So we would recommend that you submit your documents and apply for recognition as soon as possible. You can apply for recognition at any time of the year, so you don't need to wait until it's possible to apply at the university. You can go ahead and do that now. And then once you have that, then you can apply directly to the university. This includes uploading quite a few documents, and you can find a list of all the documents that are required on our website. And the deadline is always the 15th of July or the 15th of January. But as I said, for our master's programs and our faculty, it's always July 15th because we only have one intake per year. And if you so happen to have a German bachelor's degree, then there's just the one step, and that's applying directly to us. So regarding the financial aspects of studying here in Heilbronn, so every student at our university has to pay an administrative fee of 160 euros per semester. And this covers, for example, our student union, as well as some of the expenses that are associated with your studies. And then importantly, for non-EU citizens, we do have an international tuition fee of 1,500 euros per semester. This isn't something unique to our university. Unfortunately, this is something that was put in place by our federal state, Baden-Württemberg, back in 2017. We're not happy about it here at the university, but unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do about it. So keep this in mind if you're studying a bachelor's or a master's program here. There will be a 1,500 euro per semester fee on top of the 160 euros that every student pays. That being said, there are some funding opportunities that are available. For example, there's scholarships, grants, and financial assistance. Generally, you can apply for these only after you've been admitted into the program. And so I would say that you should assume that you're paying the 1,500 at least for the first semester. And then based on your own merit, you may be able to get a scholarship for some of the future semesters. The cost of living here in Heilbronn isn't too bad. We are one of the wealthier states in the country, so potentially we are a bit more expensive than other areas in Germany, but still generally pretty affordable. So you can see here, students should expect to pay somewhere between 300 and 500 for rent. That's the major expense. But as far as food and basic needs, this is pretty affordable here in the city. So as far as student life, we do offer university dormitories. Here in Heilbronn itself, most of these are located close to our tech campus. That being said, the tech campus isn't that far from the education campus. There's buses that run, but it's also an easy bicycle ride, or you can also walk. I would say if you're walking, it probably takes about 40 minutes to walk the entire distance. If you're riding your bike, maybe 15. But each of our campuses also has a dining facility. You can see some pictures of the cafeteria that's located here on our campus. In addition to the buffet, which is open for lunch every day, there's also a cafe that offers snacks and coffee, and that's open pretty much all day from, I believe, 7:30 in the morning until 6 in the evening. We also have computer labs. Most students have their own laptops, but if needed, they do have access to a computer lab. And then we have a really nice library here on campus. It's one of the largest libraries in the country, and it's brand new. It's very modern. There's lots of spaces for students to get together between classes and to find a quiet study place. And they also have some really nice technology there. For example, there's a podcast room. There's a room for recording videos with the green screen. And students have access to all of these really great resources. For all of our international full-time students, we have a special service called our International Student Support Service. And this is a program that's very active, especially before the semester starts. And they can help students with finding housing, helping you through some of the red tape that you have to go through once you arrive here in Heilbronn, giving you tips for studying, they help you overcome some of the shock of moving to a different culture. They also organize some excursions. And in the past, they've also had, they've organized like a buddy program. So this would pair you with a student here, with a German student that's already familiar with studying here at the university. So we encourage all of our international students to take advantage of this program. We also here in our faculty always have an international day. And this gives students the chance to organize a booth for their own culture. A lot of the cultural groups offer foods from their location. I think we've had a booth for Ukraine, at least for the past, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. There's always been one. So this is always a highlight for all of our students. It gives all of our international students a chance to share their culture with all of the German students and students from other cultures. As far as sports and activities, the university has a really good offer for sports. For example, there's organized football as well as volleyball. They offer salsa dance lessons. So there's lots of different chances for you to be active and get involved. There's also events that are organized by the student union. If you're a skier or you enjoy exploring Christmas markets, they always organize an excursion, like a day excursion, to give students a chance to explore the areas around Heilbronn. So I touched on this a little bit earlier. If you're interested in what kind of opportunities you have after completing your studies, the state of Baden-Württemberg is one of the wealthiest and has some of the best job opportunities in Germany. We have Stuttgart, which is really well known as the home for Porsche and Mercedes. Along with that, you have a lot of other companies that are part of that automotive industry, like Bosch. But we also have, for example, quite a strong IT industry here. For example, SAP's global headquarters is located not too far from here. It's about 45 minutes away in the direction of Heidelberg. Also in the state is a large pharmaceutical industry. So we're not only the auto industry, there's a lot of other possibilities available for our graduates. So here you can see that we're very strong with technology. We're actually in the process of building out a new facility here in Heilbronn that's dedicated to artificial intelligence. They're creating like an artificial intelligence hub. So this is something that we're really looking forward to here in the area as we implement some new technology and really get into this tech industry. So talking about careers, once you graduate, you have the possibility to apply for what they call a work searching visa. And this allows you to stay in the country for up to 18 months while you're looking for full-time employment. There's also lots of support that's offered, either here at the university. We have an international career service here, as well as just the regular career service. And then there's also our state, like the job center that's offered by the city in the state of Baden-Württemberg. So you have lots of support available to you as you search for a job after finishing your degree. We also have several possibilities if you're interested in starting your own company after your studies. We have this Start Klar. This is actually organized by the university, but beyond that, there's also here on our campus a company called Campus Founders, which is also a startup hub. So this gives you chances if you have a great idea to help develop that idea and take it to market. And then there's also the possibility for continuing your education to get a PhD if you've earned your master's degree. And there's a program here at the university that kind of helps you along that path as well. So this is, in wrapping it up, why would you want to study here in Heilbronn? This would give you a great chance to experience Germany and to gain some experience living within an EU country. It'll give you the chance to study and learn differently. I'm also international myself. I came here to study the master's program, and for sure, it was different than studying back in my home country. So it gives you a chance of just seeing how other people learn, and then personally developing yourself to be able to learn in those environments. Also, it gives you great cultural benefits. So it's going to change your mindset potentially. You'll also learn or perfect a new language. You'll certainly learn more about yourself. And then also it gives you the chance to stay and work in Germany after your studies. So that concludes all of my presentation topics. As I mentioned before, if you have questions about generally studying at Heilbronn University, I would encourage you to get in touch with our central student counseling service. You can contact them by email or by phone. If you want to learn more about the programs that our faculty offers, you can visit our website, which is hs-heilbronn.de/IB. And then you can drill down into the individual study program pages. So this, I'm not sure if this presentation is already available in the chat, so I'm gonna hopefully share it there. And then you can download it and you'll have access to all of these links. So that being said, we can now open it up for questions.
Yes, Travis, do you see the questions?
Yes, I'm getting to those now, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you just push display and they will be on the screen.
Got it.
Okay, perfect.
So here is our first question. When is online verification of credentials possible, and which sources are considered secure? So if you're talking about verification of your previous education, we recommend going with Studienkolleg Constance or with UniAssist. And you can apply for those anytime. In both cases, this involves completing an application on those websites and then uploading your documents to the websites. So they're certainly secure. Like I don't really have any reservations about the sharing of data or anything like that. But like I said, you can do that today if you want to. Keep in mind that if your documents are in Ukrainian, then you would need to have those officially translated before you submit those. Okay, the next question is conditional admission to a master's program possible if the final documents, bachelor's diploma from Ukrainian university are still on the way. So unfortunately, in this case, in order to have, if you have a non-German bachelor's degree, a requirement is that you have it officially recognized as equivalent to a German degree. And in this case, this is a condition for the application to Studienkolleg Konstanz or UniAssist. They require the final document. So it's not possible to apply for recognition if you don't have your final documents. So which bachelor's programs are at HHN are taught in English? So today I've covered 3 of them. We have a bachelor's degree in international business that's completely taught in English. And we have 2 master's degrees here in our faculty, our international business, intercultural management, and tourism future studies programs that are taught in English. There are other programs at the university that are also taught in English, but they are with other faculties, and I can give you a website where you can go to. If you look here at the last page of the presentation, if you go to our main webpage, and then you can use our study program query feature in order to search for the programs and what languages they're taught in. Is there an option for international applicants to receive an unofficial pre-check of documents, for instance, via UniAssist before official application window opens? So it's possible if you're, for example, if you're interested in a master's program and you want us to have a look at your transcript of records and your CV to see if you're a good fit for the program, or to get kind of a predetermination if you would be qualified. We certainly recommend that you reach out to the study program coordinator for the program that you're interested in and ask for them to have a look at your documents. But as far as checking with UniAssist to get a preliminary pre-check from them, this I can't tell you. They're completely separate from Heilbronn University, so I'm not sure what pre-check options they would give to you. Okay. Which specific programs, especially those with high demand or English taught ones, include additional selection stages such as motivation letter, interview, or aptitude tests? So again, I can only talk to you about the programs that we offer here in our faculty. Here in our faculty, which are the 7 programs that I've covered during today's presentation, none of those programs require that you complete an interview or do an aptitude test. For our master's programs, there is a requirement that you submit a motivation letter. That being said, for programs outside of our faculty, there are definitely some that do require an interview, or they have like an interview process. But again, I can't specifically tell you which ones they are. What I would recommend that you do in this case is have a look at the specific program that you're interested in, have a look at their websites, and there you should be able to find out whether, like, what exactly the selection process is. How are lab classes organized? Are they compulsory block format sessions or weekly regular weekly sessions, and what is the policy for making up missed sessions? So here in our faculty, we, as far as I know, don't have any courses that are labs. This probably is more related to the more technical degrees or the engineering degrees. As far as our courses here, the majority of our courses are taught on a weekly basis. So you have a set time on one day each week where you attend a certain class. There are some cases where we schedule a course in a block format. So this would be, for instance, if we're having an external lecturer come and they have a normal job in the industry and they're just coming and teaching one or two classes, then in this case, a lot of times they'll teach on a Friday, Saturday block on a couple of weekends during the semester. But outside of those two formats, there really isn't a lot of variation, at least in our faculty. Other faculties may do it differently, but this is generally the way that we handle it here. As far as making up missed sessions, depending on the course, some courses have attendance requirements, some don't. For example, our language courses do have attendance requirements, so I believe you're allowed to miss 3 days during the semester. But generally, your professors will work with you, especially if your absence is due to illness. But the vast majority of classes do not have an attendance requirement. Okay, what typical class sizes and weekly contact hours can be expected in the first 2 semesters? So I'm assuming here you're talking about the bachelor's programs. So the first and second semester courses generally would be the largest classes that you experience while studying here. Some of those classes may range up to 100 to 150 students, or probably not even 150, but I would say around 100 is about the limit. But as you progress through your studies into the 3rd semester, then your classes are definitely going to become smaller. If you're talking about the master's programs, you probably will never see a class that has more than 35 or 40 people in it. And the weekly contact hours you talk about. So contact hours are dependent on the number of ECTS usually. So I believe that, so generally each semester is made up of 30 ECTS credits, which means somewhere between 20 and 24 contact hours per week. And a contact hour is 45 minutes. So you would expect a little less than half of your week to be class time if you're looking at it on a work day, like you would a work day. Quite a few questions. All right. What are the most common mistakes or deficiencies in the application packages of international students that typically lead to a rejection? The two that we see most often are not having a recognition certificate from Studien Colle Constancy or UniAssist, or not submitting a valid language certificate. Anything else you would add about that?
Yeah, just observing deadlines.
Yeah, and the other thing is missing the deadline. Like we're very strict about this 15th of July. So if we don't have all of your documents by then, we won't consider your application. So really important to follow the directions. If you're not clear about something in the directions, send us an email. We'll be happy to clarify it for you. But just know that if we don't have everything that's required by the 15th of July, then we would reject the application. Is a conditional offer feasible if the German language certificates? I'm not sure what this means, but generally we don't give a conditional admission offer for any of our programs. So for example, if the if the program requires a German certificate of C1 level, if you don't have that, then we're not able to offer you admission. One thing, I guess there are possibilities, for example, to submit your English language certificate up until the start of lectures. Is that right?
Now it's for application.
So you have to have it by application. Yeah. So at least here in our faculty, you need to submit your language certificates by the application deadline. But beyond this, I don't believe any kind of conditional offer can be made. That's specifically about our faculty. I can't say if that's the case in other faculties. I think other faculties have different rules, but at least here in the international business faculty, this isn't possible. What is the typical review period for an application after the fixed deadline, and when can applicants usually expect the final admission decision? So this is dependent on the study program. At the master's level, generally we have admission offers out within 2 weeks of the application deadline. So usually by the beginning of August, our applicants are being notified. It can take a bit longer for bachelor's programs, but I think they're also around the same time. Yeah. So usually it's you get notification pretty quickly after the deadline. How does the ECTS credit process work for students transferring from Ukrainian universities and their standardized equivalence tables for general modules? So I'm assuming what you're asking here is, so for example, you've already started a bachelor's degree in Ukraine, and you want to apply for one of our bachelor's programs here. What you would do is apply just as a normal application. And then only after you've received an offer of admission and accepted it, are we then able to determine what of your previous coursework can be counted for some of the courses here in Heilbronn. It's not possible for us to do this before receiving your application and admitting you into the program. This takes some approvals within our examination committee. But generally what I would recommend that you do, you can kind of do this a little bit on your own beforehand. Take a look at your bachelor's courses that you've already taken at your previous university, and then have a look at the course list from the bachelor's program that you're interested in studying, and kind of try to map those out to see what you think would be equivalent courses. And this kind of gets you one step ahead, and you kind of already have an idea when it is time to apply for recognition. Does HHN offer intensive preparatory German courses at levels B1, 2 directly before the start of the semester? No, I don't believe so. But what I would recommend that you do is potentially contact the Central Student Advisory Service. They may have some options that I'm just not that familiar with. What is the maximum number of attempts allowed for an exam reset? and what is the interval between attempts, and is a grade improvement Noten Verbesserung option available for certain modules? Very specific questions. So in this case, it's possible to take an exam a total of 3 times. And once you have passed the course, then the grade that you previously, your failing grade, is replaced by whatever grade you get that's passing. It's usually possible to attempt an exam every semester. So if you fail a course in the winter semester, usually you can retake that class in the next semester. In some cases, it's not possible to do it this way because the course maybe is only offered once per year rather than every semester. And then as far as grade improvement, this is not allowed. So for example, if you receive a 4 in a class, which is the minimum for passing a course, you can't retake that course again and get a 2 and replace the 4 with the 2. Once you pass the course grade is permanent. From which semester do technical programs introduce mandatory team projects involving real clients, companies from the region? So again, I'm from the Faculty of International Business, so I can only talk about the programs that we have here. The technical programs, I have no idea, unfortunately, when they start doing projects with companies. Here in our faculty, where we do have projects, I believe these are already starting in probably the 3rd semester is usually when we have some of these. I want to say like sometimes the seminars maybe are working directly with companies, and this can be pretty early in their studies. Your first 2 semesters are usually studying specific business disciplines and languages. And then you're doing some of these more creative things later on in your studies once you've learned the basics. How realistic is it for an English-speaking student without B2 C1 German to find a job? It can be difficult, to be honest with you. I think if you have a B1, you've already improved your chances a lot. But you know, a lot of companies in especially this area of the country, although there's a lot of big companies where the official language is English, it's still a challenge to get a job in some of these companies because you just have a hard time integrating with other staff. And this is, I think, one hindrance why a company might avoid hiring someone that doesn't speak a decent level of German. That being said, it is very much possible. If you look at the larger cities, for example, in Berlin or Frankfurt or Munich to some extent, you would typically have an easier time finding a job where German isn't required. But certainly you don't need a C1. I think if you have a B2, you're probably already you already have a good possibility of finding a permanent job. What is the minimum amount recommended showing in the blocked account for the visa application considering a local cost of living? I don't have the exact number. Do you guys happen to know?
7,000-9,000 maybe, but
I want to say it's like, I think it's close to 900 euros per month is required. And this would be the requirement to get the visa. So this has nothing to do with the university. This is basically the requirement for getting your student visa. And I want to say it's somewhere between 800 and 900 per month, which is somewhere at close to 10,000 euros per year, I believe. Yeah. But this also, I believe, it varies depending on like the city and area of Germany that you're living in. But I think here in Heilbronn, it's around 10,000 per year. You can find that kind of information on our website. If you go to the International Student Support, I believe they have this exact information on their website. Yeah. Which internal scholarships are offered by the university or its foundation specifically for international first-year students based on academic merit? So as I said before, most of the scholarships that you would find through the university, they're already going to be, they're all pretty much going to require that you're already enrolled as a student. So in most cases, you would be applying for these either in your first or second semester. And you can find information about all of those possibilities on our website. And you can see those by visiting our website. And then if you go to the main page, then you can find it under something called like financing, or also I think it's on one of these previous slides. You can find it here. If you go to this expenses website, there you can see we have links to the different scholarships that are possible. Okay. The students have a lot of practical training. How do they find their first internship placement? Like I said, this is mainly for our bachelor's programs. Students would usually be completing their internship in the fifth semester or fourth semester, is it fifth? It's the student's responsibility to find the internship themselves. This is part of the experience. There are lots of options for internships. A lot of our professors are well networked, and so they kind of have insider tips on internships that are coming up. Sometimes our students, after finishing the internship, still have connections to the company, and then the company liked the experience that they had with that student, so then they specifically target our students. We also have a database that we maintain here within our faculty, where our project partners or former companies where our students have interned can advertise specifically their job postings to our international business students. Also within our career service, there's an online job board. But beyond those resources, you have your typical Indeed or LinkedIn job advertisements. So there's certainly not a lack of internships available, in other words. So there should be no issue with you finding an internship. And I would say that even if you're a non-German speaker or you don't have a high level of German, you can still find an internship. This is a little bit different than the normal full-time job market. A lot of times with interns, it's no problem to complete an internship in English. Is German required for credential recognition if the targeted program is English taught? No. So I believe when you're applying for Studienkolleg Konstanz, if I remember correctly, I think it even says on their website that if you're applying to an English taught program, it's not required that you prove any kind of German. So that's not a problem. Which individual student support tools are available at Heilbronn University? I would recommend here, like for this question, that you refer back to the presentation. I provided a link on the last page for our International Student Support Service. So this would be support that's more geared specifically to internationals. Beyond that, we do have a student support center that also has a full range of services as well. So for example, there's a psychological support center. There's assistance if you have a legal question or if you have a financial question. There's also some consultation services that are available for students for those issues as well. Is it mandatory to do the internship abroad in the third semester, or is it sufficient to find a placement in Heilbronn? I'm assuming you're talking now about the master's programs. So again, for the bachelor's, your internship is usually in the 5th semester. In the master's, you have an option. It's not mandatory to do an internship at all in the master's programs. It's also possible just to do the courses in the 1st and 2nd semester, and then immediately start writing your thesis in the 3rd semester. But as far as the internship, you can do that wherever you want. If you want to do it in Germany, you can. If you want to move back to Ukraine and do it there, that's also possible. For the master's, there's no requirements. Okay, good day. I'm interested in the specialty hotel and restaurant management. Are there many hotels in the region for practical placement? I'm interested in large international chain hotels. Yeah, for sure, there's the case here. I think for our hotel and restaurant management students, if you're interested is in hotels, I personally know of students that have interned at a Marriott hotel or a Hyatt hotel. All of the big chains are in the area. Here in Heilbronn, for example, I think we have Holiday Inn, as well as some of the more local hotels that also offer internships. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunities. Now, keep in mind, I saw that you mentioned the word placement. We don't do practical placements. It's an internship, and we don't identify the internship and place a student in that internship. It's the student's responsibility to find an internship. So just to make that clear, we don't have placements. It's up to the student to find their own internship. I think we're at the last question. Can I study management, Russian language? I'm not sure exactly what that question means. So if you're at the bachelor's level and you are interested in our international business or international business intercultural studies programs, then you can study the program with a major in international management and learn Russian and the Russian culture for the cultural area part. But as far as studying management as a field entirely taught in the Russian language, the answer to this is no. Our courses are taught either in English or in German, but outside of German language courses, there aren't courses taught in the Russian language. Okay, so that covered all of the questions that we had there in our queue. Svetlana, if you could really quickly, I'm not sure, did the students or did the attendees already have the possibility to download the presentation?
Yes, I think yes. And besides the student, the attenders will receive the presentation after this by email.
Okay,
it will be sent. In any case, it will be sent. So don't worry.
Very good, very good. Okay, so that's pretty much everything. I appreciate everyone attending and for asking such a good mix of different questions. So,
yeah, thank you, Travis. Yeah, I hope that you will see some of attendees in your university.
I really hope so. And like I said, if they have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us. We would love to hear from you and hopefully see an application from you in the next year or so.
Yes, of course. Wait a second. Мгм.
Так.
Закінчили вже, да?
Так.
Я правильно зрозуміла, що потім всі, хто слухав, отримують презентацію по пошті, да? Вона буде
Так.
надіслана. Так.
Да.
Мгм. Ну, я йому, да, так і пояснила.
Да. Кожен все, кто были зарегистрированы, все получат по почте презентацию.
Мгм. Yeah, Travis, exactly. Everybody will obtain the presentation.
Very good. Thank you so much.
So,
Okay, thank you.
So,
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.